In terms of key guys, we both have been here for a long time. Obviously, they have 2 years of experience, some of their older guys, but you've got a lot of freshmen over there too. Like, and I understand the questioning of, they've been here 2 years before, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, but it's not the same group for the last 2 years. There's some old key guys over there, but they've got a lot of young guys too that this will be the first time they suit up and play for a national championship. So, again, as I just told the club right now, it's going to come down to who plays better baseball. Who plays the game soundly? That's what it's going to come down to.
Coach, at this point, there's not a ton of strategy. You're going to scout the pitchers, and your pitchers are going to scout their hitters. But doesn't a lot of it come down to kind of nerves and just like executing defensively, and button guys over when you need to, and things like that? And how does keeping things loose, is that part of keeping your kids in the right mind frame at this time? You've had a lot of downtime.
Yeah, I tell her, well, not downtime from the standpoint of no games, but we've practiced, and when we practice pretty good.
Is there a mental element to things at this point? It's got to be huge.
Oh, yeah, but I mean, there's a mental element to the very first day of practice for some of these guys. And what I mean is this: I think athletes go through 3 stages: survival, improvement, and then win. When a freshman comes into a program, he's trying to survive. And then he tries to improve, and he gets to the improvement stage. And then he figures out what he's supposed to do on a daily basis, and he starts winning. Same thing when you come to a setting like this. I think the first night out is probably survival for a lot of guys. And then they get into the improvement stage. They got to figure out the crowds. They get to figure out the wind. They get to figure out the backgrounds. They get to figure out the hotel. They get to figure out the atmosphere. And I think at this stage of the game, it's basically two groups of guys that will show up and be concentrating on one thing, and that's winning their particular pitch, be it on the mound, be it at the plate. They'll be in a win mode. So, the emotions, I mean, we talk about things all the time, like being relaxed but being ready. If you're too relaxed, then you're loose and you're out of control. And if you're too ready, then you're tight. There has to be a balance to it. So we talk about it. We just talked about it right now, being relaxed and ready.
Yeah, Jessica Mendoza being part of your batting practice. And I imagine that adds kind of a more relaxed element as well, while you guys are still serious. And I mean, it seems like everyone had a good time, but you're still very workmanlike today with that. But
yeah, no. Again, we're the winner of this series is not going to cure cancer. They hear that from me all the time. We're never going to cure cancer. We're not going to solve the economic issues of families that have lost their homes and all those issues. That's never going to happen. So I mean, we got a chance to accomplish a great moment. We keep things in perspective. We do it on a daily basis. But like I tell our guys, compete.
I don't know if you know, Coach Martin said the other day that you guys didn't let them breathe. You didn't give them an opening, and I don't know if that could be how you would characterize South Carolina, but South Carolina is a team that finds ways to win, and you could say you're a team that kind of capitalizes on what other teams give you.
Yeah.
Can you kind of summarize that dynamic?
Again, I don't think you get to this position if you're not that kind of team. I mean, in college baseball, nobody's got killer's row, so to speak. Nobody's got 45 home runs and 115 RBIs. It's you have to have that in your makeup. You have to have that in your offense. You have to have that in your philosophy. And I'm sure a lot of clubs have that in their philosophy, but this is the difference, is not a lot of clubs can actually apply it. Obviously, South Carolina does a marvelous job, and we've done a marvelous job this year. I mean, I'm not going to take anything away from our guys. Our guys will be ready to play, and our philosophy is to try to suffocate a defense and try to keep them on the edge and never let them relax. And our term here is spread the defense out, spread them out, make them be doing something on every pitch. But I know, I've coached against race clubs in the SEC. They're the same philosophy. So, again, it should be a very good matchup.
Coach, I wanted to ask you about Kurt Heyer, several questions. How effective is he? Have you ever charted him from the stretch position? Because when a guy gets on, when he goes to the full windup, he'll go behind the mound, come right back, flushes it. But when he gets into the stretch, he goes right to the mound every time.
Yeah.
He's quick for the defense. Why is he so successful from the stretch?
I read something a long time ago, Lou, that Greg Maddox threw about 70% of his bullpens out of the stretch. And so we've always incorporated that wherever I've gone, and we do that here. And because, that's where you're probably going to have to make your best pitches. You're in the stretch for a reason. There's people on base. He does a marvelous job of it. And like I said, the thing about college athletics, at all levels, even at the big league level, I'm sure. I've never been there, but I would imagine it'd be the same way. Certain athletes, they retain the information. You give them the information, hey, we're going to do this, we're going to do that. These guys are good at this part of the plate, they're not so good at that part of the plate. And they can retain it, and they can give it right back to you verbatim. But then there's the next athlete. The next athlete can not only retain it, but he can apply it. And Kurt's one of those athletes. He can retain and apply, and that's what makes him so special.
Have you ever charted him in the stretch position?
Yeah, he's got a higher percentage of strike.
Really?
Yeah, he really does. Yeah, and it's interesting. But we wouldn't put him in the stretch out with nobody on. But yeah, he has a higher percentage strike. He pitches better when people are on base. He'll give up some hits, as you can see his numbers. He averages about a hit an inning. But boy, once he gets in the stretch, he starts making some pretty quality pitches.
Now, as far as, is he the best bullpen pitcher you've ever had in your coaching career?
Man, he's right at the top. I've had a few guys that kind of mind, Josh Fogg and Pat Ahern and Preston Gilman, some other guys like that. But he's right at the top. I mean, his intensity and his ability to focus, Lou, I think is the big difference. I mean, you watch one of his pins, and you could be shooting guns around his head, and he wouldn't know it.
Well, he said when he was a freshman in his first bullpen, you were yelling at him right in his ear to try to distract him. Strike, strike, strike.
Yeah.
He said there was even a fly on his nose, and he threw strikes.
Yeah, I do that. I do that with all the young pitchers because I know, but because hopefully we come into this environment one day.
Yeah.
And so yeah, I get right on them, and their first couple pins, I scream and do some things. Sometimes I'm not even yelling at them. I'm yelling at the catcher. I'm yelling at another guy running his tours or his conditioning. But I'm doing it with one goal in mind: distract him from his job. And some guys do get distracted, and then we correct it and tell them, hey, you can't be distracted. The game starts on the mound and it ends on the mound. And some guys like Kurt Hire showed up, and after his first pin, I laughed at I took one of my assistant coaches. I said, I did everything possible to distract him, and he threw strike after strike after strike.
What were some of the other things you did to distract him?
Like I said, I'll stand right behind and talk. In other words, his pin is going on right here, and I'll stand right behind and talk to you and have a conversation about nothing of any significance to his pin. I'll scream a little bit at the catcher. I'll scream a little bit about the pitcher that's throwing next to him. I'll scream a little bit about the guy that's not running hard in his conditioning. We'll just try to do as many things as we can to get him away from what he's doing, because that's what the game's trying to do. And
you're so impressed. You had all your freshman pitchers watch him this year?
I made all of our freshman pitchers this year watch his bullpen. He threw a pin, and I said, don't worry about your assignments. Come over here. I want you to watch him perform in a pin. Yeah, I really did.
What does he do specifically?
His focus, his concentration, and his focus. And like I said, you can't get him away from his. You can't. It's almost like you can't speak to him sometimes. You have to ask him to come off the rubber. In the middle of a pin, if you want to correct something, you say, okay, Kurt, stop. Now let's get off the rubber, and we pull him off the rubber. Let's try this. Let's try an arm slot. Let's work on a different grip. And then he gets back on the rubber. And again, he not only retains it, but then he applies it.
Last question. He looks like a stone cold killer out on the mound, and he never changes expression with that almost killer.
Great concentration, Lou.
Yeah.
Great concentration. I would agree with you. Great concentration. If you ever go back and look at all the videos of games that are on TV, I joke with him. He and I have a great relationship. He mimics me, does some of my mannerisms. He's a classic guy. He's funny. When I go ask for the ball when he's done, he won't even look me in the eye. He's so upset. He won't even talk to me. I mean, he could be throwing a 2-hit shutout and his pitch count has gotten up, and I'll go out and say, Kurt, great job. You got us right where we need to be. It's not thanks, coach, and hey, he won't say a word. I just get the ball and he walks away. Yeah.
Hey, thanks.
Okay.
Quick question about Alex Mejia. You mentioned how he's the leader of your defense earlier in the tournament. What are the tangibles, but also like the intangibles? A casual observer might think he's kind of got a big body for him. He's not a prototypical body.
Yes.
And you might not know that he's quick. I imagine he gets great reads. A lot of it's getting back to that mental side.
Yeah,
tell us about the guy.
Yeah, he doesn't pass the eye test for a lot of reasons in terms of what you just discussed. He's not that long, lanky shortstop. His intangibles, he has tremendous game instinct. We run a hidden ball trick. He runs it without, you can teach it all you want, but he has to be able to do it. And he did in the 8th inning in the series against Cal. A crucial situation. Ran a hidden ball trick successfully. Great instincts, great knowledge of the game. When we go over opposing hitters, he's the only position player that shows up at that meeting. They're not mandatory. It is for the pitchers and the catchers, but for the position players, it's not. He shows up at that meeting. He wants to know exactly how we're going to pitch guys, what we're going to do. So I think he's, again, I call it the word disciple in the Greek language means a disciplined learner. A disciplined learner. Some people are disciples of video games. Some people are disciples of growing grass. Some people are disciples of videos. Some people are disciples of cars. Alex Mejia is a disciple of baseball.
Was there a comparison in the big leagues? A guy had an interesting combination when you said he doesn't pass the eye test.
Well, yeah, Luis Sojo is the guy that comes to mind for me. Played for a long time. Not the greatest looking kid, not the greatest looking body, so to speak. And I'm not knocking Alex, but it is what it is. But he had a decent career, you know. 2 checks a month were pretty good for him about 15, 18 years.
Would it be higher probably Monday regardless, or will
No.
you wait to see what happens?
Yeah, I'll wait to see what happens. I'll wait to see what happens, and I'll wait to see how he feels.
Would you rather have him in a championship game or
More-
in a elimination game? Does that make sense?
Uh,
If you guys were to lose,
if we were to lose on Sunday, I think my team might throw me off the airplane if I didn't throw him on Monday. Wouldn't you? Yeah. I mean, if we fly home and if we're flying home on Sunday? If on Tuesday we're flying home and Hire hasn't pitched, I don't know if I can get on the same plane with my guys.
if the difference between Wade after the Super Regional was, here to here, confidence-wise,
Mm-hmm.
what did 4 days ago do for him?
Oof. We'll find out.
Yeah.
Find out tomorrow at 7. But I mean, I don't think there should be any doubt in his mind that he can go out and get people out on a consistent basis.
His pens have been good.
Outstanding. Yeah, outstanding. Yeah. So I think that stage is over in his life. I hope it is. Yeah, I really do.
For
Hope
that
it
to
is.
happen mid-season,
Unbelievable. Yeah, like I said, it's just short of a miracle, man. That's unbelievable. I know. I'm with you, Rhino. It's unbelievable. I mean, that's they say if you stick around it long enough, you see it all, right? Yeah, I'm seeing it right now.
you ever seen anything like that?
No, not for me. Not for me. I mean, like I said, 2 weeks before the season started, I went home and told my wife I got to find a second guy. And this is after a fall where he outpitched Hire. He outpitched Hire in the fall. And 2 weeks before the season started, I went, man, I've got to go find another arm. Somewhere in this rotation, I've got to find another arm. And now he's starting first night against South Carolina for the national title.
Who was it going to be?
Who was it going to be?
Yeah.
God, that was too long ago for me to think. I had no clue.
Hale?
Possibly, yeah. Hale was the first candidate.
Really?
Yeah, he was.
All right, Coach, let's go catch the bus here.
Okay.